Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to. On today's episode, of course, we're going to be talking about this week's AEW Dynamite with a potential match of the year contender between Kenny Omega and Vikingo, El Hijo del Vikingo, of course, a favorite of ours for a little while now.
Oh, yeah.
Given that we are AAA, not aficionados necessarily. We don't watch it every time. What's a good word for people who are really into something a couple times a year? Us, I guess. That's what we're into. Yeah.
We watch it twice a year. Maybe 3 times a year.
Yeah, maybe 3 times a year. I think they're doing another 3. They're doing 3 Triple Manias this year, aren't they?
I think.
One's coming up in April. One's coming up pretty soon, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 15th that weekend.
So we're going to talk about that match and all the goings on, including Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club, but some drama within the Elite as well, thanks to Don Callis. We're going to talk about
what is he up to?
All that stuff. But first, it wouldn't be an AEW Dynamite News Week if we didn't get CM Punk on our thumbnail, in the title, in the news, talking about a return to AEW.
Maybe.
New clues, Maybe. Larson. What are these clues?
Here's some other clues that he might not be coming back. They covered him up. If you remember, if you were watching Dynamite, open to Dynamite when the Young Bucks were getting loaded into ambulances.
Yeah, ambuli.
Yeah, well, no, it's ambulances. You see some tables covering up part of the production truck. Guess who's behind tables? Phil. Anyways,
CM Punk. Yeah.
We got some more in this ongoing saga of Punk and AEW, a possible return. So Fightful Sean Ross Sapp recently interviewed Dax Harwood. And apparently in that interview, as teased in a tweet from Sean, Dax mentioned that he's talked to Punk recently, and Punk has mentioned that he's reading Steve Kern's book, and it's making him miss professional wrestling. So did a screen cap of Sean's tweet with those details. That was posted by the Pro Wrestling Podcast on Instagram. Apparently, CM Punk saw that post and left a comment which read, quote, "Great story about Gator and Coco fighting in the locker room, and then Lawler drags him in the office the next day and they squash it. Fascinating." Of course, Phil had his own backstage fracas.
Right. Yeah. You
may have heard of.
It's not difficult to draw a line between the two. Maybe CM Punk's opinion is, hey, maybe shortly after all that, they could have brought everybody into an office. I mean, the thing that there's got to be a bit of a difference here, because like a dude was bit, somebody got a chair thrown at him, and then there was like a lawyer involved. And this is like a big deal company. It's not exactly like an old school territory where like shit happens and you bring him into a locker room and then, I don't know.
You squash it. Yeah.
They do some drugs and they're fine, Yeah. It's not a one-on-one analogy. But yeah, I mean, you could totally see, if CM Punk is saying, hey, this really should have been water under the bridge much sooner than now, given that he could potentially, be returning or be physically able to return shortly. But, the idea that he hasn't had his release, there was no buyout that we know of. I feel like that info would be public at this point if that was the case.
I would think so too, and I don't think Punk would take the social media to allude to a desire to return, as he has several times.
Right, yeah. So it doesn't stop there, though. On the latest Wrestling Observer Radio, the Wrestling Observer himself, Dave Meltzer, took Punk's post as a sign that he does want back in AEW. He said this, and these transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co. He brought up when Steve Kieran was in Memphis, he got into a fight with Coco Ware, and he said that Lawler sat them down, and that was it. It appears that he was trying to say that in wrestling in the past, there's fights. That situation was completely different. What it says is that he wants back in, which we've already known. Other people have said that too, that he's looking to get back in. It's up to Tony Khan, and Tony's going to make a decision at some point. He's probably just about ready, if not ready already, from the torn triceps. So it's one of those things that he could do soon enough. It's a tough decision. Usually Dave Meltzer, he didn't say usually Dave Meltzer. Larson, usually Dave Meltzer is pretty well plugged in, given that he's friends with everybody there in AEW, basically, and Tony Khan. Not that they're always completely on the same page. But, this evidently is still a decision that is yet to be made. Or at least if it has been made, Tony Khan hasn't really told too many people perhaps the closest in his brain trust, if he has a brain trust. So, yeah, I mean, we've heard all sorts of stuff over the past or through the past about, guys like Jericho, for example, not being entirely, open to CM Punk returning. Is this the kind of situation where it'd be kind of, up to Tony Khan, but also the Elite would have to be kind of cool with this in some way, shape, or form, and maybe they could be the guys to be like, hey, Jericho, we're cool with it. It's not a big deal. We can figure it out. Or is this the kind of thing where regardless of what the Elite want or don't want, Tony Khan would say, yay or nay?
You'd think if you want to have a pleasant locker room atmosphere, those conversations would have to happen. You would think that Tony Khan would have to sit down with the Elite, with Jericho, if what Jericho said about Punk was true. All the parties, basically they'd have to have a locker room meeting and say, all right, who wants Phil back, who doesn't?
You think so?
I'm not saying necessarily take a vote, but the best way to do it, I would think, is essentially have a town hall meeting. Tony Khan's up there saying, this is a situation. We think it's a good idea to do this. I want feedback from everybody here before I make a final decision.
Yeah.
Because
and if everybody's like, no, fuck you. But if it's like torn, if it's like, I don't know, 50-50, he's Tony Khan. You got to make a decision on this.
You do. And if there's a large block of people who are seemingly unwilling to compromise on their position to not have him back, but a majority of the people in the locker room do, and Tony Khan, his inclination is, yes, let's bring him back. You got to work that out. You got to find some solution that before you bring him back in that locker room. Otherwise, this is going to blow up all over again.
From what CM Punk seems to be saying on the Instagram, he seems open to talking with the people involved, with the Elite, perhaps maybe leaving it in their court. I think that this could totally be solved. It's a question of, given what happened, and with the understanding that it could happen again, is it truly best for business? Now, from a short-term ratings gain, sure, I think it's good. Even from a long-term situation, CM Punk is a known commodity. He's a known name. He is, in Tony Khan's estimation, at one point, he was the plus delta. So from a business standpoint, of course he'd want to bring him back. It kind of makes all the sense in the world. You think he'd be very motivated to do that. On the other hand, I would think that billionaires also have egos, and to sit up there and having gone through the experience of basically having your champion, the guy who you hugged and loved and said all these great things about, sit up there and run basically your company down to the ground.
Yep.
That's got to be an experience that might have left some trauma scars on Tony Khan.
It's entirely possible. I mean, that's one thing we don't talk about probably enough is Punk will have to make some amends to Tony Khan for that incident.
Yeah. For
sitting there next to him and eviscerating his company in front of him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
And maybe Tony Khan is a really forgiving guy. I don't know. And like, not water in the bridge. Don't worry about it. I would think there would have to be a conversation about that.
Yeah, you would think so.
You would think.
Yeah. And maybe for all we know, CM Punk apologized in text messages and they've had a conversation. But I mean, it's all part of the wrestling business. But yeah, I don't know. My inclination is still he'll be back. They'll do it. He'll be back. I mean, it might end up being much ado about nothing, because for all we know, he's going to come back, have one match, and be injured for another year.
It's entirely possible.
That's probably more possible than a lot of people are really giving credit to. But that's exactly what was happening in the first place. He had his year-long run, but in that year-long run, man, he was wrestling match after match after match, long matches. And then as soon as he jumps into the crowd, busts his foot, he's out, comes back. As soon as he comes back, he's out again for 9 months.
Yep.
He's old. What happens to us old people, man? I get out of bed and I'm like, what the hell happened to my ankle?
I woke up, my lower back hurt for some reason. Don't know why.
And we're not even athletes,
No, far from it. No, not at all.
Interesting just how, forthcoming CM Punk seems to be with, he's not even dropping like clues anymore. He's just going on, Instagram saying, look, they solved this fight. Can't we?
Fascinating. Why can't we? The subtext, why can't we?
Yeah, the none too subtle subtext
I know.
is why can't we? So, it'll be great for us because we'll have some fresh CM Punk screenshots for our thumbnails, and people will give their opinions either way, and we'll give ours, and it'll be great for our business. So I say, Tony Khan, let's effing go, man. Let's do it.
Well, what would be better for the business going in Raw? Him coming back to AEW or him going back to WWE, Steve?
WWE wins again, Larson. That's what I say. Oh, my God, dude. Do you believe that shit? That'd be surreal. Yeah.
That would be wild. Yeah, that would be pretty darn wild. Let's talk about Dynamite last night. A lot of conversation heading into this week's Dynamite, particularly about Kenny Omega taking on El Hijo del Vikingo. There was a lot of talk about, does this match need story? Who is Vikingo?
Who is this guy? I wish there was some sort of vast archive of information readily available at my fingertips, morning, noon, and night, that I could just put this guy's name in and get all sorts of information and video
if only
clips.
I had the wealth of human knowledge at my fingertips.
God damn it. Will somebody ever invent that?
I know. Please, somebody out there. Let me find a place where I can go and type in anything, and I'll get information about it.
Let me see if I can find somebody who could do that, Larson.
All right, look on your phone.
Yeah.
So the match delivered just about every way possible, and even delivered. We talked about this, I think, on Monday. Where is there a story in this match? Not really, but could it play into Kenny's story, overarching story in AEW? Now he's singles wrestler. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it did.
Yeah.
Before this match, Don Callis was in the locker room saying the god of pro wrestling is back.
Singles guy.
Yes, singles Kenny Omega. This match is kickstarting that story as well as kickstarting something. We really got a good look at it here, seemingly. So, the show opens with the Young Bucks laid out. They're getting loaded into ambulances. Brandon gets in the one with Matt. Brandon tells Hangman as that ambulance is pulling away, make sure someone goes with Nick.
Mm-hmm.
And so Kenny's there outside of that ambulance. Don Callis is trying to convince him not to go in.
Mm-hmm.
So Hangman at the last minute stops them from closing the door. He gets in. He goes with Nick. Later in the show, commentary says that Cutler suspects that Blackpool Combat Club is responsible for that attack.
Mm-hmm.
Show closes after Kenny beats Vikingo.
Mm-hmm.
Blackpool Combat Club comes to the ring. They attack Kenny as Callis does nothing to intervene, nothing to help the god of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
Hangman comes to the ring with a 2x4 with some nails in it.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was
Blackpool
awesome.
Combat Club instantly leave.
He drives
even though
up
they
in
have the
an
numbers
ambulance.
advantage.
He drove up in the ambulance,
drive
too.
the
He was driving it, yeah.
Even though Blackpool Combat Club have the advantage in this numbers advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Then Callis gets in the ring, grabs Hangman by his arm. Hangman turns around, he doesn't know who it is, so he's about to swing that 2x4 at him, stops. He turns back around to look at the Blackpool Combat Club, and then Callis grabs Hangman by his wrist.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to pull him in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Hangman yanks his arm back, and Callis takes a really cartoonish bump.
Right.
That stirs Kenny, who's still selling the effects of the beatdown.
Mm-hmm,
and so Kenny's looking at Callis, looking at Hangman, and Callis is like, he did that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Paige did that to me.
Yeah.
And so Kenny gets upset and gets in Paige's face. So the question is, what the hell is Don Callis up to?
Is he going to be with the Blackpool Combat Club?
That's what I'm thinking too, man.
Maybe. That'd be so goofy. You know what was nuts last night? Heel Mox didn't bleed.
Mm-hmm.
The house show might have been the last time we see him bleed for a while.
That could be.
Yeah, you know what I love about this? Just from a larger standpoint, makes me want to watch the next episode to find out what Callis's motivation is. Is he worried that Kenny's going to go back to a tag team with Hangman? Is he in league with the Blackpool Combat Club? Is he simply concerned about Kenny Omega and wants him to steer away from the Elite or any other? He didn't have a problem with that before when it was like the super elite and he surrounded himself. So maybe that's not the issue. Maybe he just doesn't want him to go back into a competitive group situation with the tag team of Hangman Page. But he could be with the Blackpool Combat Club. I know it'd be sort of antithetical to what they are, but they're bad guys now.
Let me run this by you.
Yeah.
So we've seen Don Callis try to recruit Takeshita.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe Callis is just trying to sow division within the Elite because he's got his own faction coming in.
Oh, it could be.
Takeshita. Maybe someone like Jay White.
Would he want? Ooh. Oh, wow. Would he want? But wouldn't he want Kenny to be the focal point of said faction?
Could be.
Is that the idea? Yeah, that
Could
could be. That could be. No, I really like that segment. I thought, obviously, look, let's pivot to this, the match itself.
Yes.
Vikingo versus Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
I've seen out there, for my money, I think probably still match of the year is Kenny versus Will Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom, because God damn it. A lot of good candidates out there for match of the year. I would definitely put this on the short list of matches of the year, because I did think that it was, it's funny because like I've seen some people say, Mayor Pete here, who was it in our YouTube chat? Said Mayor Pete says match of the year for the great spots, but I think match of the year should have more story. This was just a dream match, but not a story build to it. To me, the story was partially what you're saying, but also I think the nature of the conversation behind this factored into a story for it. Vikingo's basically star-making performance on a large American cable network, primarily, English speaking. I know obviously he's on whatever stations run AAA, but for, the North American audience that's into AEW and WWE or whatever, like that audience has now been exposed on this stage to Vikingo. And that alone is kind of enough story for me, because it's like, hey, as much as you and I love Commander, for example, because we've seen Twitter clips, as much as you and I are fans of Dragon Lee now that he's, going to NXT, Vikingo is special with capital S, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a big deal. Yeah. That alone is enough for me to be like, okay, I give this match an extra amount of attention because it's Vikingo on, English language cable television on TNT or TBS, whatever you want to, however you want to refer to it, on a different stage than AAA. And it's, I thought it was something absolutely special. I thought that the crowd reactions, my own reactions, I was doing a live stream while I was doing some 2K23 stuff last night, watching this, and it was a lot of fun to watch the chat react to all these, all the crazy spots. Just a phenomenal bout. I might have just talked myself into making it a match of the year candidate, to be honest with you. Thought it was just really spectacular stuff.
It was. I mean, Vikingo does stuff that first really shouldn't be humanly possible, but then does it so quickly and so smoothly.
Oh man, it's crazy. Yeah,
it's beyond belief. It really is. Some of the stuff he does, where he jumps off the rope, does like a full flip in the air one way, lands on Kenny's shoulder, do a Rana the other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like he's able to change direction so quickly. Mm-hmm. A lot of, like this opportunity for Vikingo is in a lot of ways similar to what we saw in WCW when they started bringing luchadors onto Nitro.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Those matches usually weren't in the main event like this was, but you'd have somebody kind of unannounced show up on Nitro and put on a spectacular match with somebody, and as the match was going, commentary would fill you in on who this person was.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Usually Mike Tenay was doing that.
Yeah.
It was reminiscent of that. Obviously, this is a situation where not only is Vikingo making his AEW debut, but doing it in the main event against one of the best wrestlers in the world, Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they give him 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they pull out basically all the stops.
Yeah.
In those 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And Kenny bumping all over the place, helping Vikingo look like $1 million.
Dude, this was next level. It really was. And I don't think it's funny for people who are like, who's this guy? Well, now you know. I mean, if you watched it, I think there's a lot. There's so much disingenuous arguments out there, and I think the whole who is this guy, when you could easily look that shit up, is one of the disingenuous arguments. out there. It's
another aspect of that was Tony Khan announced it on Twitter, and then by Friday they had a video package on Rampage for him.
Yeah.
Like you got a glimpse there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
And there's the faith also that it's like, it's Vikingo. Like by the time Wednesday night rolls around, you're not going to need to look them up anymore because you'll have seen this match and it's going to be just that fucking good.
Yep.
So yeah, I'd love to see that. Apparently this is somebody from, I don't know if you heard this as well, but Conan apparently said that this was just a one-off for Vikingo.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know somebody in our chat said that last night and I didn't bother to look it up. Which isn't
I'm not
surprising.
saying, I heard that. I'm just saying that makes sense.
Which
that would fall in line with how they promoted the match. It was just a last minute thing.
Yeah.
One time deal for the time being. Yeah.
Yeah. And if that's the case, it would make absolute sense that, that would be a thing. I would expect I would hope that there would be much more promotion behind his arrival if it was going to be a multi-date appearance or if he was actually signed to the company.
Oh, totally. If he was actually signed to the company, I would imagine, I would think there'd be more promotion behind him coming to AEW. Yeah.
Excuse me. So also, let's talk about this. The tag title scene seems to be clearing up with FTR coming out and saying, hey, what can we offer you guys for a shot of those tag titles? And Austin Gunn, I thought, was particularly good in this segment, saying, there's nothing you can offer us, to get your hands on a title shot. Mm-hmm. And then, Cash starts to open up and saying like, hey, well, what about, no, there's nothing you can offer us. And then finally Dax is like, what if we make it a loser leave or we leave town if we lose match? Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, wait a second. So you're out of AEW if you don't win. So, I mean, clearly, Larson, this is either they win or then they're staying or they lose and they've decided to go elsewhere, not in AEW. I don't know. Like, is this match supposed to be happening at Double or Nothing?
No, I think it happens next week.
Oh, shit. Was that announced for next week?
I think so.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, one of two things is going to happen. They're going to stay or they're going to go.
Around.
You think so?
I'll wager $5 American right now that FTR is staying in AEW. So right before we started, I saw a bit where, because I think Dax's latest podcast is on Triple H. And I saw one headline, didn't read the context, so I could be way off base here. But the headline I saw was, Triple H was a fan of our talent, but didn't want to build around us.
Oh, okay.
And so if they think that Tony Khan wants to build around them, they're going to stay in AEW.
They're not gonna leave before CM Punk comes back anyway. So you're probably right about that.
I just don't see any reason for them to come back again to lose to the Guns. There's nothing in it for them.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing in it for them. And if Tony Khan already said you guys can sit out the rest of your deals, I mean, I guess it's possible he calls them and says, "I want you here to lose to the Guns." That's possible.
I mean, they're a big deal, so that would be a possibility.
But
yeah,
I mean, I would imagine that stipulation is there because they don't sit on TV. Basically, everybody knows their contracts are up soon.
They're so in love with CM Punk as well. I would be really surprised if they did go at this point. So yeah, it seems like they're going to be winning those titles, and then I don't know, maybe they'll do FTR versus, I don't know if you do the Acclaimed at Double or Nothing. That'd be the best match. That'd be the highest profile match. That's for sure.
that'd be really
unless. Well, I get the feeling. Okay, let's pivot back to the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club. You got 4 guys, and then
you know what they could do? They could do. So it could be a situation where Kenny's like, the Young Bucks will say, let's have Hangman on our team, and Kenny's like, no. And the Young Bucks are like, all right, you're our best friend, we'll listen to you. Sorry, Hangman. So it would be Blackpool Combat Club. It'd be Mox, Claudio, Wheeler against Kenny and the Young Bucks, against Paige, Uno, and Stu.
Oh,
and like a blood and guts thing. You'd have 3 teams of 3.
Well, you could do that. Yeah, I don't know. Hangman Road with the Young Bucks in the ambulance. Blood and Guts with Paige against the Young Bucks. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this would be something that builds to Double or Nothing, or if this is something that...
I don't know either.
I mean, the thing about Blood and Guts that they could do, and that you're right about, they could do a thing where that's where Callis turns.
Yeah.
That'd be an ideal place to turn.
And then if all parties are in the ring on different sides, Paige, Kenny, the Bucks, and then Blackpool Combat Club, then all right there on that stage, everybody's like, "Oh shit, this is what's going on," and Kenny can look at Paige and say, "Oh, you were right. I was wrong. You were right about him."
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and that can all happen right there if they're all in the ring together.
Yeah,
especially on opposing sides, you know.
Yeah, that's a possibility. And then next week, Adam Cole Bebe is coming back to in-ring action, and his opponent has been revealed. He made a pretty good case for himself. One Daniel Garcia, entertainer. He slipped
He did.
this
That was
week.
great.
Called himself pro wrestler, and then he caught himself. I like
That was
you
so
know
good.
the fact that they have built up his resume so impressively, because he lists off his accomplishments. He's main evented more Dynamites than anybody else in the year or the past whatever, and he lists off all the people that he's beat, and it's like, holy shit, they're building this guy pretty decently. And now he comes out on the mic and he's a sports entertainer, but he still has that pro wrestler thing.
I know.
In the back of his
head. He sold that moment really well, and the crowd bought into it completely.
The crowd went,
really
whoa!
good. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good. That's going to be a killer match, by the way.
It is.
It's going to be a really good match.
So the show opened up with Matt Jackson being loaded into an ambulance, as mentioned earlier. Cutler gets in, says, Hangman, make sure someone goes with Nick. And so Hangman walks over that ambulance, and when he walks over there, he sees Kenny trying to make his way to the ambulance. Don Callis is holding him back. And so right as that ambulance is about to pull away, one of the medical staff in the ambulance about to close the door, Hangman grabs it, goes in. He drives off with Nick.
It was a very Nitro beginning, and I
really
love
was.
that. I love that.
Really
My
was.
only complaint, just to backtrack a second here, overall about Dynamite, my only complaint about Dynamite, I thought that they did a decent job with story. My only complaint were the actual matches were so lopsided.
Yeah.
It's like Mox versus Stu Grayson. There's no way Stu Grayson's going to win that. Tony Storm versus Sky Blue. There's no way Tony Storm's going to lose that. Orange Cassidy, Sting, and Darby Allin. There's no way they're going to lose that match.
Yeah.
There is nothing on Dynamite this week in terms of the matches that felt like it was, except for maybe the main event, but I never thought Kenny was going to lose that. Except for maybe the main event, because that was a special showcase match. Everything else was so overly like lopsided with who.
And
the
a
winner
lot
was
of
gonna
it,
be.
the matches too, just didn't necessarily play into the larger stories they're telling. All the story beats most of the story beats seem to happen after the match ended. For example, in the opening bout here, Orange Cassidy, Sting, and Darby versus Kip, Butcher, and Blade. I know they motivated this match because Butcher and Blade attacked Orange and Darby at the house show. They showed clips from that, which is cool. I like they're actually weaving what happens to the house shows onto the TV and then showing it. But the real story beat here was after the match was over, after Darby's team gets the win, he looks up at the Double or Nothing's banner.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And commentary's talking about the segment last week where he challenged, along with Sammy and Jungle Boy, MJF for a title shot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Seems like that's going to be happening at Double or Nothing, huh?
Seems like it. I was kind of thinking maybe that happened on a Dynamite since it's 2 months away, Double or Nothing, but maybe not.
They could just extend out a bunch of stuff and circle back around to it.
It could be.
Yeah, because MJF wasn't in the building. They just did like a, last week on thing.
Yeah. After you got put through the cake, yeah.
Right, yeah, I just yelled a lot. Speaking of which, after... Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, but this six-man tag match, it was fun. It's hats off to Sting for not being rigid in his approach to professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It'd be really easy for him to just do the same thing he did 25 years ago.
Yeah, right.
And call it a day.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say he doesn't do that stuff. He does.
Mm-hmm.
But he realizes the wrestling business has changed, and he's cool doing Orange Cassidy bits to get a laugh. And I think it's awesome to see.
That shit is so much fun too. It really is. Whether it's the rolls or the lazy kicks. No, it's pretty great, and it probably helps them that they have him no sell like everybody's offense. You have somebody in a Scorpion Deathlock. And you've got the Butcher, one of the biggest dudes, big old meaty guy, giving him clubbing blows, and Sting's just like, no, I'm not going to do any of that. Yeah. He goes up to him, he like hits him with a clubbing blow to the chest, and Sting just sort of looks around. It's one of the biggest absurdities in pro wrestling, but it's one of the things that I love about pro wrestling, that kind of stuff. Orange Cassidy, of course, had his own face paint on. It was just an O and a C written in lazy black makeup on his face. So yeah, it was a really, really fun match. But in the end, it was Sting hitting Kip Sabian with a Scorpion Death Drop to get the win after Darby hits the Butcher with a suicide dive, and then Orange taking out Blade with a suicide dive.
Yeah, the ending sequence was pretty fun.
The crowd was really into it. It was a really fun match, yeah.
So then afterwards, Orange puts his sunglasses on Sting, and that's when Darby looks up at the banner. He's looking at his own WrestleMania sign, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then we got some video packages. We got MJF one where he's talking about how nobody, Jungle Boy, Darby, or Sammy Guevara deserve a title shot. Each of them have a little bit to kind of make their case again why they should.
Oh, this is a good point from
shot.
Brittany here. This is totally how you extend out this feud. She says, I think that MJF is going to make the three other pillars compete to see who can win the most matches between now and the next pay-per-view. They're all going to tie for it, so they'll end up. That's probably exactly what's going to happen.
That's 99.9% exactly how they're going to do it, yes.
Yeah, I think she's absolutely right there.
That's right on. That's what's going to happen, yeah.
Yeah. Then we had a cool Kenny Vikingo video package, and then we had Top Flight versus the Guns, of course. Did they ever do a thing? I was sort of half paying attention here. Did they do a thing where we found out what happened to the bags?
No, the luggage was never mentioned. I thought it'd been pretty funny if they had brought that to the ring with them.
She was on her back. It makes me laugh. So yeah, we had a Top Flight versus the Guns. At the beginning of this match, Excalibur said, "Oh, I just got off the phone with Cutler," and he said it was the Blackpool Combat Club that had laid out the Young Bucks. So we knew that information at that point.
Yes. The Kingdom interfere. They take out Darius Martin on the floor. Dante then takes him out with the Kingdom out with a tope. He springboards in the ring. Austin ducks, and then the Guns hit their finisher to get the win there. Shout out to Matt Taven. I don't compliment Matt Taven a lot.
No.
The suit he had on last night was fantastic.
Number one Matt Taven fan, Larson now.
Number one Matt Taven suit fan.
He's usually pretty dapper with his attire.
That suit was next level.
Yeah, it was really nice. Really nice.
It was really nice.
The Guns, of course, get the win here. Then FTR come to the ring as the Top Flight runs off the Kingdom. Colton tells the truck, "Hey, cut their music. Nobody wants to hear that song, and nobody wants to see you. Don't touch me." And then Cash is like, "Calm down. We're not here to fight you guys. We're here to talk business." Colton responds, "Yeah, but no one wants to hear you talk. We don't like you. We don't respect you. And guess what? You guys are losers. You lost 3 sets of belts, and you lost to us." Like you're so bad you even lost to us.
I know.
Austin says, "There's nothing you can offer us to get a title shot ever again. Nothing." Cash is like, "Nothing? So if we say we'll never challenge you for the tag titles again, if we win." Austin's like, "Can't you hear my words? There's nothing you can offer us." And Cash is like, "Okay, well, if you want to prove that it wasn't a fluke, if you beat us again, we'll never tag together in AEW." He's like, "No, nothing. There's nothing you can offer us." And Dax says, "If we can't beat you and win the AEW tag titles, we'll quit AEW." And he's like, whoa. Let me get this straight. If we beat you for these tag titles, you leave AEW forever? And Dax says, "Yeah." And Austin says, "Fine, deal." And then the Guns look to extend their hands for a handshake, and FTR, bites on it. And instead, the Guns hawk loogies in the face of FTR. There was a nasty one on Dax, too. It was all gooey and stuff.
Ew.
It was pretty gross, dude.
It was pretty gross. FTR's totally winning that. Then we got a Jade Cargill interview. She tells Renee to cut the shit. Says, "We've had this." I think she says Tanya. I think she called Taya Tanya.
I did notice, but if that's true, that's awesome.
That's pretty funny. So we've had this Taya girl come in and interrupt my moment when she came out to enter an open challenge. They already closed. Then she had the audacity to use my finisher. Mark, tell him what's up. So Sterling steps up. He's, as we predicted, cease and desist. Taya's going to be barred from using Road to Valhalla because he says Jade has shown ownership of that move. And then Layla says, "You know what? I'll present that cease and desist personally to Taya on Rampage."
That's not going to go well for Layla Gray.
Nope. She's probably going to get a Road to Valhalla.
She's going to get a Road to Valhalla. After that, this was hilarious. We had Stokely Hathaway versus Hook. Stokely gets on the mic, says, so he's looking really shook. He comes down to the ring. He says, "I got some breaking news. I spoke with Dr. Simpson earlier."
Why is this so simple just to elicit laughter, just getting someone's name wrong?
I know, it's great. He says, and he said, "I'm not medically cleared to compete." He says, "I wanted to so bad. Oh, and what a coinkydink. I'm announcing that I'm retiring from wrestling today. Thank you to all my fans, all 12 of y'all. I'm blessed. Justin, come here. I've got my doctor's note. Make it official." And he hands Justin a piece of paper. He looks at it, and it says it's a receipt, and it says, "I quit." And Justin says, "This is not an actual doctor's note. It's a receipt from Wingstop." From Wingstop was what made it great. So Bryce takes it. He rips it in half. And he rings the bell. So Stokely gets out of there, hops the barricade, tries to get out of the crowd, tries to get out through the crowd. Hook very quickly gives chase. Bring Stokely back to ringside. Stokely hits an uppercut, but Hook no-sells it. Stokely looks for a boot. Hook counters with a capture suplex. Hook then gets a bunch of guardrail from underneath the ring. He sets it into the ring, puts it in the corner. Stokely rolls out. He grabs the fire extinguisher, and he actually is able to hit it in Hook's face, or shoot it, rather, in Hook's face. He gets a chair, gets into the ring, takes a swing, but Hook catches it, hits Stokely with a chair a bunch of times. Hook hits a exploder onto the guardrail, covers, but then he picks up Stokely on two. Then he locks on Red Rum, and the ref calls for the bell. And then backstage, Hardy tells Ethan that you need to avenge Hook or Stokely. He says, "You're the man that could beat him." And it was great because last night there is footage of who was it? Mark Quinn,
Isaiah Cassidy.
I'm sorry, Isaiah Cassidy at the club. Just like freaking some ladies, and like he got the DJ to say, shout out to Stokely Hathaway, hopefully you're okay. And so then Matt Hardy poured out some Diet Pepsi back at the hotel for Stokely. It was pretty funny stuff, man. It was funny also during the match backstage. Ethan Page is like, we didn't prepare him for hardcore shit when they started bringing out the guardrail.
It was great.
It was really good stuff. They need to roll with this version of the Fur-Man because they're really funny.
The chemistry between them all is fantastic. The way they play off each other. Like that training montage. Holy shit, that was good stuff.
Oregon Grinder also mentions here Stokely hugged the ref beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
so good. It was so good. Then we had Adam Cole, baby, come to the ring for a promo. The crowd just chants his name. He says, "Hey, I think I know the answer to this, but who's ready for story time with Adam Cole?" He says, 7 days. We're 7 days away from me making my in-ring return here in AEW. Listen, I know I've talked a ton about my struggles and the things that I went through, but right now I feel freaking great. Says I've never been more ready, never been more prepared to get back in the ring, doing what I love to do, and that is wrestle for AEW. I know everyone has a lot of questions. The biggest one being, who is my opponent going to be March 29th? And on cue, Daniel Garcia comes to the ring. Steve, would you like to play the role of Daniel Garcia?
Who's ready for story time with Daniel Garcia, baby? Hey, Adam, I know you've been gone for a while, so I just want to update you on a few things, okay? Since you've been gone, I've become a real veteran. All the boys in the back respect me so much that I've become a locker room leader. As a locker room leader, I thought it was my duty to not only welcome you back, but to put you in your place too. I don't know if you remember, but let me remind you of some of the things I've been doing the past 9 months while you've been home playing stupid video games on Twitch. He says, Brody King, beat him. Ricky Starks, beat him. Bryan Danielson, I beat him too. I've main evented more AEW programming over the past year than anybody else on the roster. I've been the lifeblood that pumps through this company, and you want me to respect you? You want me to welcome you back? Where's my warm welcome when I've been here? I've been doing this proving that I'm one of the best pro wrestler sports entertainers on the planet today. So Adam Cole, if that's what I am, what makes you so special?
That moment was great. Anyway, so Cole responds, what makes me so special? When they ring the freaking bell, referencing the promo he cut on Karrion Kross in NXT.
Yeah, all they got to do is ring the freaking bell.
That's what makes me special. Listen to me. I like you. I think you're really, really good. Someday you could be the guy who leads the charge here in AEW. But you know what your problem is? It's the company you keep. The JAS has done a great job giving you a false sense of security, this overconfidence that sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad. But let me remind you, even me not wrestling for 9 months, I'm still Adam Cole, baby. I'm a multi-time world champ. I've traveled the globe, fought and beaten some of the very best. And as a matter of fact, when I was sitting at home for 9 months, I was wondering if I ever get a chance to wrestle again, hoping, praying, willing to do anything for a second chance. It looks like I found that second chance. If you're crazy enough to want to challenge me next week, then damn it, you're on. But let me remind you of something. This just isn't my return match. This is a statement to the locker room that one of the best pro wrestlers on the planet is back, baby. I hope that you realize what you're in for, because I can promise you next week is going to be a great night for me, a great night for the AEW fans, but for you, not so much. I'll see you next week, Garcia. Boom.
So then we've got Alex. So yeah, it seems like I would think at Double or Nothing we're going to get Jericho versus
it seems like it's going
Adam
that way,
Cole.
yeah.
That could be a good match. That could be a really good match. Alex Marvez is outside Kenny Omega's room, so he goes in because he's going to interview them, and they're kind of arguing a little bit, bickering a little bit, and Kenny says, I should have went with the Bucks in one of the ambulances. And Callis says, I sent Nakazawa, and Kenny and you got a match tonight, man. Injuries happen, but the Bucks are going to the hospital. That allows you to focus. They'll be fine in a few months. And he tells Marquez that Kenny and Vikingo are going to blow the roof off this place. The god of pro wrestling is back.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Then we got John Moxley taking on Stu Grayson. It's great whenever Stu gets a chance to show what he can do. In his initial run to AEW, he was predominantly doing tag matches, and even that seemingly rarely. So it's cool seeing, because he's a really good wrestler.
Yeah, he's really good.
He lost this one though, but it took a Death Rider off the top rope for Mox to get the win. And then after Mox gets the win, Dark Order immediately gets in the ring because Mox had the thing about beating people up post-match. So Moxley rolls out, poses a little bit with Blackpool Combat Club, and they might have flexed a little bit, and Mox is talking shit to camera, then they leave through the crowd. Yeah,
I'm really happy they turned those guys bad. Claudio especially is a bad guy. He just oozes like, oh man, it's so fun. It's just fun to watch them.
It is, especially when he orders Wheeler around. It's great.
Yeah, and Wheeler being shitty is entertaining as well.
Yeah.
After that, so we talked about this, I think, on the pre-show. So Ricky Starks had an interview, and once again, he just comes off as irritable, as irritated.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he's actually irritated. Maybe he's just doing a phenomenal acting job. But it's like he's like in character. He's irritated that he's in a feud with Juice, but it feels like he's actually irritated to be. Yeah. He had this great. He had a feud with Jericho, high profile feud, that he got the ultimate win in. Yeah. And now he's just every week doing interviews about Juice Robinson. It's not even like Ricky Starks has a match and then Juice Robinson attacks him or something like that. It's just he's just backstage. So Renee asks him, where do you and Juice stand? Which is a weird question in the first place. And he's like, I'm so tired of the back and forth. No action, all talk. I got to stand around and take my time from my vacation early just to say, hey, Juice, I don't like the fact you attacked me 2 weeks ago. How about this? On Rampage, I'm done talking. If you want to face me man to man, you can find me on Rampage. If not, just stop. I'm over it. This is the craziest thing I've ever been a part of in my whole life.
That's what he almost said fuck.
Yeah. He says, I'm issuing an open challenge to you, Juice. Be a man or not. I don't give a damn anymore. And I got the feeling that he actually doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, there could be some truth to that.
There could be, yeah.
There could be some truth to that. Then we got QTV. This was a step down from last week. And it wasn't exactly like the bar was set high a week ago. This just seemed to be a bunch of stuff thrown at the wall. You got Harley saying, hey, I've discovered a new prospect, but it's Ray Phoenix. And it's just to show footage that she shot ringside of him losing to Hobbs. And then QT not only says Solo stole, broke into Wardlow's car and stole his stuff, he also stole his identity, Wardlow's identity. And then he's also the one that hacked some Observer Twitter account. So Dave Meltzer's Twitter account was hacked. Yeah. I believe.
Yeah, because there was something about like Meltzer mentioning how the wrestling, or apparently somebody asked Dave Meltzer about WWE paying for talents, travel arrangements. And he said, without specifying WWE, but meaning apparently, because it was an answer to a question about WWE, they don't pay for whatever they don't pay for in travel stuff. Tony Khan
doesn't pay for it. Yeah, AEW doesn't pay for talents travel. Yeah.
I thought he mentioned. I thought that he left that ambiguous, and then Tony Khan said AEW does in fact pay. Yeah. But then the original question, I don't know. It was stupid internet stuff, and they made it out like they were the ones who were, antagonizing the situation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So then QT says Hobbs is going to have another open challenge on Rampage, and then it's announced it's going to be Penta taking on Powerhouse Hobbs,
which is going to be a hell of a match.
It's going to be really good.
That's going to be a killer match, and I'm kind of glad Hobbs wasn't in this segment because it was dog shit. Last week, we found, okay, they're going to do this TMZ stuff. There is some stuff that you can mine there. There's some, and QT's got one thing that QT's always had. He's got, I feel like, a decent handle on comedy stuff. Mm-hmm. None of this was good. No. None of this was. It was just not. It wasn't funny. That's the thing. Nope. If you want to get cute with the internet wrestling community, fine, whatever. At least be clever or be funny with it. And this just wasn't. It was just obnoxious and waste of time.
It really was. It really was. Yeah. The get Will Hobbs as far away from this as possible.
Well, this was a good step. He wasn't there.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
He wasn't with them.
But QT was the one to announce that Hobbs has an open challenge on Rampage. Let Hobbs make that announcement.
Baby steps, I guess. I don't know, man. Sky Blue, probably the losingest wrestler on cable TV, had a match against Tony Storm. case has to be made, right? Her or Takeshita. But Takeshita has had some wins on cable TV.
Yeah. I have to think about that.
Another loss here for Sky Blue.
Yeah. She almost got the win, though. She hit her finish.
Yeah,
but Ruby gets on the apron.
I'm just thinking of that fact. I'm like, okay, maybe Kip Sabian. Has he gotten wins on cable TV?
Oh, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that happens. Sky Blue hits Code Blue. Ruby's on the apron though to distract the ref. So Sky goes over to confront her. Tony tries to take a shot at Sky Blue, but Sky gets out of the way. So Tony almost hits Ruby, puts on the brakes. Sky rolls up Tony. Tony kicks out. Drop kicks Sky Blue into the corner. Hip attack. German suplex. Storm 0. Tony Storm wins.
Yep. Afterwards, Ruby and Saraya get in the ring, and they've got the spray, the spray paint. But then Willow and Riho and the steel pipe, the lead pipe, run in to make the save there. Afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, you know what it is? It's like between Mox and Grayson and then Sky Blue and Tony Storm, it's not really advancing stories rather than just sort of adding meat to the already existing stories, which is just, it sometimes comes off as spinning wheels. You know?
Yeah.
The trainers checking on Stu Grayson backstage. Mox comes in, attacks him while the Blackpool Combat Club lay out the medical crew. And then we have our main event, El Hijo del Vikingo versus Kenny Omega. And as much as we always say, we can describe these moves, but it's better for you to watch it. I can't stress that enough. That is an understatement.
Yes.
Go watch this match. These moves of Vikingos are just absolutely insane.
They are. Like I could say, Kenny's looking for a powerbomb off the top rope. Vikingo reverses that into a Hurricane Rana. It doesn't do what actually happened justice. You know, and there are several instances, like so early in the match, Kenny sets up a table ringside. And so later on, Vikingo gets Kenny on it and hits this crazy, like, step up 630 to put Kenny through the table.
Yeah.
Again, you know, you could hear that and be like, well, that sounds pretty cool. Go watch it. It's way more impressive because Vikingo does it off the second rope.
He does it off the second rope, and it's as if his momentum of, like, the first spin carries him, and he just stops in the air as he's spinning. Yeah. It doesn't seem like it should be physically possible.
I know the way he changes directions in midair is insane.
Right. Yeah.
Insane. Like in this. So later on, he goes for a 630. Vikingo does, and Kenny moves. And usually when they do that spot, like I think we've seen Ricochet go for it.
Yeah.
They'll land on their feet or something. Vikingo just fucking missed it, and he hit hard on the mat.
It's just back to mat.
Oh, that looks like it sucks so bad because he gets so much momentum going when he does the 630. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. There's a lot, like Supersonic Onyx brings up the Phoenix Splash, again, off the second rope. That he starts outside of the ring and ends up inside the ring. Insane. Right.
And it's just, there's so many different twists. We got Brandon here as a new channel member over here on the YouTube.
Thank you, Brandon.
Speaking of which, given that, so Kenny ends up winning with One Winged Angel. And it was great to see because they're both on the ground, you know, after he gets the pin.
Oh, Kenny looks like he got the shit beat out of him.
He does, but they're also sort of clasping hands, and Kenny gives him a pat on the chest, like, "Hey, mission accomplished. We got you."
He's pointing to him and trying to get the crowd to cheer for him.
Right? Yeah. But then Vikingo quantum leaps out of the ring. Tony Schiavone's there for an interview, and Kenny says, "You know, the more time that goes by, the more I wonder if I could do this kind of stuff." And then he's attacked from behind by the Blackpool Combat Club. They're beating the shit out of him. Backstage, outside, an ambulance arrives, and it's Hangman Adam Page driving it. He gets out carrying a 2x4. He makes his way to the ring. Mox tells Claudio and Yuta, "Let's beat feet." Callis gets in the ring to check on Kenny, touches Hangman on the arm. Page is like, "Whoa, who's that?" Almost hits him with 2x4 and stops. And then Callis grabs Page by the wrist, and Page like yanks his arm back because he's still paying attention to Blackpool Combat Club. They're not up the ramp or nothing. They're still like in a position. Yeah. And so he pulls his arm back, and Callis like takes a big dramatic bump. Omega then comes to, looks down, and is like, "Why did you knock him out?" And he's like, "I didn't do anything. I'm trying to protect you from them." And Kenny's like, "I don't know what to believe anymore."
Yeah, they're arguing as the show goes off air. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Brandon, new YouTube channel member. YouTube channel members get access to, along with patrons at patreon.com/Steven Larson, $5 and up, the QA threads for the shows, the QA thread for the Wednesday all QA thread show. They get access to our Friday bonus episode, which is recorded live and is available on demand and in the audio realm. YouTube channel members don't get the audio stuff, but patrons do, because I don't know how to do it with the YouTube channel members. So they get access to that. They get access also to the Big Red Predictions Challenge, which is coming up at WrestleMania. Prove that you could be the top predictions challenge person. You can predict the best stuff that people write, potentially sometimes at the last minute. And you could become champion here at Going In Raw of predictions. So be sure to check all that out. Coming up April 8th, I believe it is Action Coast Wrestling No Excuses. Where, shockingly, by the way, we were gone, right?
Yeah.
We participate, Action Coast Wrestling participated in this big multi-promotion show here in NorCal. And Johnny Butabi won the Action Coast Wrestling Championship from Alpha Zo. So we booked a rematch because I don't like that. I don't like that. So we're booking the rematch, rematch here booked at No Excuses. But a bunch of great matches. We got Jordan Blue, who's been who's had some matches in AEW, taking on Christina Von Eerie, local wrestling legend, and a bunch more. So come out. I think it starts like 8:00 Pacific. Come out to Action Coast Wrestling here in Sacramento. You can get your tickets at Eventbrite. Just look up Action Coast Wrestling and it's right there. So we got that going on. And then before that, actually about a week before that, March 29th in Los Angeles.
Yes.
Dark Arts Entertainment. Simon Miller is finally putting up that H title in Los Angeles. Dude, somehow, some way, Cal Jack, who's been suspended from Action Coast Wrestling for gut wrench, powerbomb, and a fucking ref, and Alpha Zo, but mainly the ref, is going to be challenging for the H title. And Larson, I'm telling you, he did this just to stick it to us.
Oh, and I guarantee you that's why it happened. Guarantee you. Yeah. Got one other thing to promote here. So next Tuesday on March 28th, we're going to be on Fightful Roundtable.
Oh, that's cool.
2 of us. Tempest is going to be on there too.
Oh, neat.
So that's, again, March 28th, Tuesday, starts at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 Pacific.
All right. Very cool. Joe Juarez wants to know, does the H title still have Adam Mayhem's face on it? Unfortunately, I believe it does.
Yeah, I think it does.
I wonder if I can get a Simon Miller sticker made in time for 6 days from now. Probably not.
It's going to be tough.
Looks unlikely. Unlikely for sure.
We got a super chat here from Ian Douglas. Says, thanks for shouting out the Kern book. Let me know if you'd like copies.
Yeah, I'd like a copy of that book.
That'd be cool. Yeah, it seemed like it'd be a good read.
Ian, we should have our mailing address in the description of this YouTube video. We probably do. It's if you don't have
there it is.
Is it? Okay, yeah, just look in the description of this video. Yeah, absolutely. I'll check that shit out. Man, I've been doing over at MF Steve here. I'm going to get back on it. I don't know, today, tomorrow sometime. We got Smashdown tonight. But that old territory wrestling, you know, and then I take channel point predictions on how many Let Me Tell You Somethings are going to be.
Yeah.
It's wildly fun.
That's something else,
all right. We've got some questions to, oh my God, we've got a lot on Patreon.
We do.
Oh, you do Patreon. I do YouTube.
We got one here from Cruz. Is Don Callis the mastermind behind the Young Bucks getting attacked? 95% yes.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Go ahead with the next one.
High Plains Drifter says about Hobbs, please get him away from QT. If you have a manager type with him, who would you prefer? If Hobbs were to have a manager, who do you want to have as his manager? I don't think Hobbs needs a manager.
He shouldn't have a manager.
He's really good on the mic.
He shouldn't have a manager.
No.
Is there, okay, what about this? Is there like a legend that, I mean, Hall of Pain Mark Henry era, if Mark Henry was a manager, maybe him. Or a guy like Jake the Snake, you know. He's managing another big man, Lance Archer. Put him with Hobbs, because Jake should really be on TV more often.
Yeah.
But that's only like if he needs to have a manager, right? Yeah. Like he doesn't need a manager. He's a good talker, and you know, just have him be a solo dude.
Yeah, he does not need a manager at all.
Yeah,
at all.
Certainly not QT Marshall.
No.
Benoit Richer says, I think match of the year is still Omega Ospreay at the beginning of January. My question is 2023 seems to be becoming the best year of wrestling in quality matches so far. What do you think? I don't know. Best is there's a high bar already.
Yeah.
Like the past couple of years, a lot of years over the past 5, 6, 7 years can make the case for best wrestling quality of the year.
Yeah. Jeremy Marquez here with a super chat. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Lord Ziffer asks, if the Four Pillars match happens at Double or Nothing for whatever reason the title had to change hands, who should be the new AEW champion and why is it Darby? Yeah, it's Darby. If any of the other, if between Darby, Sammy, or Jungle Boy, who should be first in line to win the title? It should be Darby.
I'm trying to come up with the debate on that, but I don't think there is.
I don't know if there is one.
I don't think there is one. Odd Breakfast says, not much a question. Just wanted to say that if this is what AAA is like, then I need to see more of it. AAA distills everything I love about pro wrestling. Everything I love about pro wrestling is in AAA. Yeah. I cannot recommend it enough. If I thought that it would be a good business move for us to pivot to exclusively AAA content, believe me, we would do that.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, it just wouldn't do well for us, and I got to feed my family somehow. But no, it is a joy and a delight to watch AAA.
AAA is so much fun.
Anytime we get the opportunity to do so.
Nikyle here asks, will Vikingo get an AEW contract after that performance on Dynamite? If not, would he stay in AAA or go elsewhere? Don't know his contract situation with AAA, so AEW offering him a deal might not even be possible at this point, but whenever Vikingo is potentially a free agent. I would be shocked if AEW doesn't offer him a contract.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like you said, I don't know that they can.
I don't know either.
I'm trying to see if there is any information on contract, because you would think that he's. But then I know, like, I would think that the Lucha Brothers maybe would have been under contract with them as well for Mexico.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea. I really don't know.
I don't either.
I would think that you would think that if he could sign big money, because from what I understand, and I think Dave Meltzer had mentioned this, in AAA, they don't make a ton of money there. They make a ton of money leaving, like not leaving, but like doing dates and other promotions. They make a shit ton. But while you're actually in AAA, the promotion does not pay them a lot. The bigger money is going out to do other dates.
Blake Whitehouse asks, what are the chances the New Japan Impact show next week ends up being better than Forbidden Door 2? The card is pretty good. I mean, I know Ospreay's not going to be able to make his match against Mike Bailey. I guess Ospreay has a shoulder injury, so Tanahashi's going to fill in.
Oh, wow. Tanahashi versus Speedball?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. What are the other matches? I don't even know what the matches are. Josh Alexander, who's he fighting?
Kushida.
Okay. Which
will be really good.
That'll be good.
But
Kushida's already in. I want somebody who's not in Impact already. Kushida's already in Impact.
I know. Yeah. But I don't think that show has Okada on it.
Right.
Whatever show Okada's on, it'll probably be the better show. I mean, they sold a ton of tickets for Forbidden Door 2 already. A ton.
Yeah.
So hopefully it delivers.
Did you hear Fightful had a report about AEW potentially not going back to
saw that.
the Now Arena, the Sears Center?
I saw that.
They might do it United.
Yeah.
That'd be a bummer. Venue. If you're going to do that, I get it. If you're going to do, I get making more money. But like the history of...
This is slowly building the stadium show, Steve.
Well, yeah, I wonder, there might be something to that, And if All Out's going to be their stadium, if eventually it's going to be their Mania, that'd be smart.
Sup John says, being March Madness, if AEW did a March Madness style brackets with everyone on the roster, who were the top 4 seeds and who was the Cinderella story?
We should do a March Madness thing here at Going in Raw somehow.
That'd be fun.
Are there any sites that easily put together like brackets or whatever?
Oh, brackets aren't hard to put together, no.
All right. We should do that like through the community tab or some shit like that. That'd be fun.
Try to do a wrestling, just figure out who's best wrestler.
Something more clever, like I don't know, going in Raw wrestlers.
Well, I mean, Von Wagner would win that easily.
Would he?
Jorge
Baron Corbin would probably put up a good. We'd have to put them on opposite sides of the bracket.
Yeah, they'd have to be opposite sides. But Jorge asked, "Is the Now Arena like really hard to get to?" It's not. It's out in suburban Chicago. It is quite a ways out.
It is. Yeah.
It's like, not terribly difficult to get to. Didn't it?
Yeah. No. It's
one time we were there. Like I could speak with great authority on. Anyways,
we didn't have a hard time.
John's question. So AEW has a bracket, March Madness bracket. Who are the 1 seeds? Kenny, Mox, Jericho. MJF. Or maybe MJF's not even in it.
Probably like Danielson.
Or Danielson.
I think it'd be those 4.
Okay. Who's the Cinderella story? Who's the wrestler that's the lower seed that's going to go on a huge run? Maybe to the Elite 8.
Garcia or Takeshita?
Oh, Takeshita's probably the good answer. That's a good answer. Not that Garcia's a bad one, but that's like Takeshita. Like Garcia's already beat Danielson. And
yeah, right. Yeah.
Like Takeshita just finally, a few weeks ago, actually got a huge TV win.
What is this back here?
Yeah, I see.
That's ridiculous.
I see.
Her eyes are closed. Sometimes her eyes are open and she's just like, look at me.
Oh, yeah. That's always when dogs are on their back and like staring at you.
It's hilarious. It's like I literally took a picture of it last time. It's like my favorite thing. The Blind Mask asks, who would be 3 matches you'd book for an AEW WWE Forbidden Door show? Just 1 tag, 1 singles, and 1 singles women's. I'm sorry. 1 tag, 1 men, 1 women's. Bucks versus the Usos.
Yeah.
Seth
Probably
versus Kenny.
Yeah.
And Jade versus
Charlotte
or Britt versus Becky. Yeah, do that. WWE wins again. Jonathan Vieira says, what would the Rawgate version of LA Knight be called?
I think of any wrestler in the known universe, LA Knight might be the one that's immune to Rawgate technology.
I think We Book Raw LA Knight would be exactly just LA Knight. I don't think there's anything you could do with him.
Nope.
He's already as if we would book him.
Yeah.
Except he would win everything.
Yeah, he would win all matches instead of lose. Stan here asks, what has Keith Lee done to Tony Khan? He's relegated to another tag team, Naturally Limitless on Dark Elevation. I don't fucking get that. I don't get it. Especially now that Swerve says, oh yeah, the Mogul affiliates, gone. Like he pretty much said Parker and Trench are not in the picture anymore.
Yeah.
Like I kind of understood, even though I didn't like it, I kind of understood, well, Keith Lee thought, okay, I got to go against 3 guys. I got to have some backup here. Dustin, you're my backup.
Yeah.
How have they not had a 1-on-1 match yet?
Yeah. Don't know, man.
I don't know either.
Don't know. I'm trying to think what Keith Lee, a guy who's supremely talented, should be featured in the main event situation every week, and Swerve Strickland, another guy who's super talented. What do they have in common that could possibly be the answer? I don't know. Adam Bull says, would it be too risky for AEW or WWE to sign Marty Scurll? Yeah. No. You don't do. No. Star-Lord says, Steve, this question is for you and for you only. Why do you dislike Juice Robinson? So I just want to make this clear. Juice Robinson as a character in my wrestling has always been somebody who I just don't care to see him on my television. I think that there's been like maybe one promo of his that I've been like, oh, this is pretty entertaining. But beyond that, his personality just kind of grates on me. Doesn't do anything for me. I think he's a decent wrestler. And honestly, I do kind of think that he's got the charisma to turn me around if he somehow like re-envisioned his character, because he's got a very unique voice and a unique way of speaking that I think I've seen bits and pieces where I'm like, oh, I could get on board with this if he was just different in some way. But he does nothing for me. The presentation of his character, I'm like, I just don't want to see this guy on my TV. I can't even really explain it, to be honest with you. But as a person, I wish him well, and I hope he makes a lot of money and is a very happy person and healthy person. Totally. So I don't dislike him. I'm just not a fan of the presentation I see on TV, and that's exclusively it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Hopefully, we'll see you tonight for the Smash Zone. We've got WWE Raw theme songs, intro theme songs, tier ranking list thing video at Friendo Club Wrestling. So be sure to go check that out.
Yes, please.
Hopefully, we'll see you tonight on the Twitch for the Smash Zone. Thanks for watching. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.